Chapter 4156. Speaking of which, I have to thank you, Brother Ruhan. If this demoness hadn't promised to bring you to the immortal slaughtering city, I wouldn't have had the chance to tamper with the teleportation token and send you all to my Yunyang immortal abode. Yun Ruhan didn't get angry. Instead, she asked in confusion, "Who are you? Why did you kill Yu? Bloody and cruel demoness, everyone has the right to kill her." Before Luo Xiyuan could speak, the other two Xian immortals beside him were already shouting angrily. Yu, do you still remember us? I'm a descendant of the Lin family. Back then, it was you who went crazy and slaughtered the entire Lin family. When you slaughtered indiscriminately back then, did you ever think that you would end up like this? And my Nine-Sun sect clearly had no grudge with you, but you suddenly barged into our sect and killed our sect leader and 18 elders. If I don't avenge this blood feud, I'm not worthy of being called a disciple. When these people spoke of Yu's crimes, their eyes turned red. Clearly, their hatred had reached a boiling point. Luo Xiyuan said, "Fellow Taoists, there's no need to be agitated. Killing Yu today will naturally avenge your friends and masters. When the time comes, we'll also be able to take down the demons." Hearing Luo Xiyuan's words, they bowed to him repeatedly, their faces full of gratitude. "We're fortunate to have the Blazing Flame sects help this time, and fellow Daoist Luo didn't hesitate to serve the demons to seek revenge for us. We're truly grateful. From now on, my Nine-Sun sect is willing to merge with the Blazing Flame sect and follow Senior Brother Luo's orders." Luo Xiyuan smiled with satisfaction. Most of the grievance and resentment he felt from Yu's humiliation had dissipated. No matter what, as long as he killed Yu today, he, Luo Xiyuan, would be famous throughout the world. If he could merge the Nine-Sun sect and the Lin family into the Blazing Flame sect, the position of sect leader would definitely be his. Yu, it's your honor to be my stepping stone." Luo Xiyuan composed himself and waved his hand. "Let's not waste any more words. If this demoness calls for reinforcements, it won't be worth it." Before his voice died away, his figure had already rushed forward, the long sword in his hand flashing with a cold light as it was unsheathed. The others were already filled with hatred. If they could kill Yu for revenge, how could they delay? They immediately surrounded her. With a wave of her hand, Yu pushed Yun Ruhan and Yen Tong several meters away. A black and red halo enveloped the two of them. Yu smiled and licked her lips with the tip of her tongue. Her eyes were filled with excitement and bloodlust. Without saying a word, her figure suddenly turned into a wisp of black smoke and rushed towards Luo Xiyuan and the others. Damn it, this demoness can't even absorb devil chi in Yunyang's celestial abode. How can she still be so powerful? Hold on, everyone. This demoness was only consuming the remaining devil chi in the demon core. This bit of devil chi would be exhausted sooner or later. As long as we persevere, we will definitely be able to make this demoness run out of energy. Ah! Fresh blood and severed limbs splattered in the Yunyang celestial abode, which was filled with immortal chi. The girl in it laughed loudly. Her laughter was clear and melodious, and her expression was innocent and pure. Her eyes were filled with disdain. Just like how they had planned in every possible way, they were not skilled hunters. They were just ants who had barged in by themselves, overestimating their own abilities and trying to shake a tree. Luo Xiyuan hurriedly took a step back to avoid the blood of his fellow spirit cultivator. His face was completely dark. He had originally thought that this assassination, which had been planned for several years, would definitely be a success. Chapter 4157. They hadn't expected Yu's strength to be so strong. 4 Xian immortals and a dozen peak golden immortals couldn't do anything to a weakened Yu. She had even killed several of them in the blink of an eye. Luo Xiyuan's eyes turned and landed on Yun Ruhan and Yenin. His eyes flashed with a sinister cold light. His figure suddenly swayed, and he arrived in front of the black-red light shield. He raised the long sword in his hand, gathered all the immortal power in his body, and slashed at the light shield. There was a loud bang. The red light shield shook violently and made a cracking sound, as if it would shatter at any moment. "Ah! Save me, my lord." Yan'an's face was pale, and he couldn't help but cry out in fear. He retreated, almost out of the light shield. It was Yun Ruhan who was quick to pull him back. Not far away, Yu, who was on a killing spree, paused and frowned slightly. Luo Siyuan immediately shouted, "Hold her back. This demoness cares a lot about her pretty boys. As long as I capture them as hostages, Yu will surrender." His words caused the spirit cultivators to perk up. The panic of wanting to retreat just now had all turned into desperation and ferocity. Even though Yu was powerful, she was suppressed to the point where she couldn't move. Luo Siyuan's long sword once again looked at the red light shield. Again and again. Yu's protective shield was very powerful, but this was Yunyang Immortal Abode, where there was only immortal qi and spirit qi. Luo Siyuan's strength was magnified infinitely. Every time he slashed, the shield weakened by 30%. In just a few breaths, it was on the verge of collapse. Yan'an was scared out of his wits. With a sobbing tone, he shouted, "You spirit cultivators speak of upholding justice, but all you do are despicable and shameless things. Isn't it enough to kill my lord with a dozen of you? Now you want to threaten us with 2 little demon soldiers? You are the shameless ones." Luo Siyuan sneered. "Everyone has the right to punish evil. What's the point of morality? Only by killing this demoness, Yu, will there not be so many people in the world who will be tortured by her." "Nonsense!" Yan'an screamed. "I know everything about the Lin family and that Nine Sons sect. The head of the Lin family deceived the daughter of the Li family and used this to swallow up most of the Li family's businesses. The Lin family's patriarch even tried to kill the Li family's young lady when she was giving birth, causing the child to die in her womb. The Li family's young lady narrowly escaped death and was rescued by a loyal servant. But the Lin clan was afraid of the Li clan's revenge, so they decided to go all out and slaughter the entire Li clan. Miss Li fell to the devil with hatred and joined Sir, begging Sir to take revenge for her. That was why his lordship decided to give them a taste of their own medicine and massacred the entire Lin family. Yun Ruhan was stunned. She didn't expect the truth to be like this. Yan Gui's eyes were bloodshot. And the Nine Sons sect. They claimed to be a righteous sect, but in the end, they used mortal false immortals and low-grade demonic weapons to activate the restriction formation in an attempt to improve their cultivation bases in a short period of time. Tens of thousands of mortals and low-level devil soldiers turned to dust in your hands. One of the devil soldiers was a relative of his lordship's subordinate. When his lordship learned of this, he took revenge for his subordinate and killed those elders and sect masters who were worse than beasts. What's wrong with that? You humans always say that we demons are sinister and cunning, cruel and bloodthirsty, but in reality, you humans are often 100 times more sinister and cunning than demons, and 100 times more insane. Chapter 4158. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. Fellow readers, please remember this site's domain name, Book C Pavilion, and find your way home. What face do you have to speak up against Lady Yua like this? Yan'an roared out these words. Every word he said was the truth. This made the Lin family and Nine Sons sect members' expressions turn ugly. Their hands couldn't help but slow down a bit. Luo Siyuan only snickered. His expression was full of nonchalance and arrogance. Those who achieve great things don't bother with trifles. How would you stupid demons understand? It is an honor for those mortals and low-grade demonic soldiers to become stepping stones for us on the path of cultivation. As for that woman from the Lee family, it's just a family matter. Which male cultivator doesn't have multiple wives? That Miss Lee was jealous and overbearing, and in the end lost her husband's heart and harmed her family. She didn't reflect on herself, and instead fell to becoming a demon. A crazy woman like her should be punished. Furthermore, when did you demons have the right to interfere in the matters of my spirit cultivators? As he spoke, Luo Siyuan raised the long sword in his hand again and slashed down. There was a huge boom, and a huge wave of air pushed Yun Ruhan and Yenin away. The protective barrier finally couldn't take it anymore and shattered. Luo Siyuan laughed loudly. Yuyue, take a look. Your demon pet is already in my hands. Do you want their lives? If you want it, you'd better surrender. Otherwise, I'll cut off their flesh piece by piece in front of you, and cut up their demon cores inch by inch. I'd like to see how long you can hold out. As he spoke, Luo Siyuan's figure had already moved forward. Yenin let out a terrified scream. Yun Ruhan's eyes narrowed, and he opened his hand, assuming a sword stance. But before he could unsheath his ice soul sword, a thin and slender figure appeared in front of him and Yenin pfft. Fresh blood and minced flesh mixed with Luo Siyuan's screams. Everything in the Yunyang immortal abode seemed to freeze. Luo Siyuan staggered backward and looked down at his chest. There was an empty spot where his heart should have been. Not far away, a young girl was holding a beating heart in her slender, fair hand. That was his heart. Luo Siyuan opened his mouth, wanting to say something. The corners of the young girl's lips curled up, revealing a bright and radiant childlike smile. Then, he exerted force with his 5 fingers. Splat! With his heart shattered, Luo Siyuan's eyes widened as he collapsed stiffly on the ground. Even at the moment of his death, he did not understand why he was defeated. He had clearly planned this for several years, advancing step by step, and had a thorough plan. Yu Yu was supposed to be a stepping stone on his path to becoming the sect master. But why was he the one who died in the end? Chapter 41-59. They hadn't been Yu Yu's match earlier, and now they didn't have any will to fight. In the blink of an eye, the dozen spirit cultivators had become a dozen mutilated corpses. Fresh blood dyed the grass and flowers in the Yunyang immortal abode red. In this glaring red, a girl in a light yellow dress stood leisurely, like a young girl who had come for a walk in the spring, ignorant and innocent. Victory, victory! Yenin shouted excitedly, pulling Yun Ruhan over. Milord won. Ha ha ha, I knew you wouldn't lose. Yun Ruhan couldn't help but be shocked. Because of the power that this small body could unleash. And the indifference that didn't even raise an eyebrow in the face of death. Compared to the little girl who was curled up on the bed and snuggling into his arms, Yu Yu was like a completely different person. What had Yu Yu experienced in the past? Yun Ruhan looked at Yu Yu in a daze. The girl's body suddenly swayed, and she fell backwards. Milord! Yenin shouted and wanted to rush over. But Yun Ruhan was faster and caught the girl's soft, cold, feather-like body. Are you all right? Yu Yu opened her eyes and glanced at Yun Ruhan before lowering them tiredly. Her voice was crisp and cute, but cold. Little demon pet, who allowed you to hug me? Yun Ruhan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He really wanted to let go and let this bad-tempered little girl fall to the ground. But looking at her pale face, he couldn't bear to do so. He was about to speak when his expression suddenly changed. Then, a huge force hit him in the face, sending him and Yu Yu flying, crashing heavily into the fake mountain. The fake mountain shattered, and huge rocks tumbled down, drowning the two of them. Yun Ruhan felt that it was an extremely powerful demonic aura. Because he hadn't cultivated his demon core much, he was only a 9th-rank demon soldier. So when he encountered a demonic aura much stronger than his demon core immediately stopped spinning, and his body entered a state of suspended animation, unable to move. Fortunately, demonic aura wasn't the only energy in his body. Moreover, this was the Yin-Yang immortal abode, which was rich in spirit and immortal qi. As long as he switched from being a demon to a spirit cultivator, he would quickly recover. Just as Yun Ruhan was circulating his spiritual energy, he heard Yan An's voice. Different from his previous shrill, terrified, and nervous tone, Yan An's tone was now thick and flamboyant. The sound quality was obviously the same, but it gave off a completely different feeling. Yuyue, I'm so sorry. Although it's not good to take advantage of others, I've been waiting for this opportunity for too long. Yun Ruhan was astonished. He did not expect that Luo Xiyuan was not the only spy. Even Yan An's identity was not simple. Then, he heard Yu Yu's calm voice, "Which family are you from?" "No." "Or Guan Yu?" "No." "Guan Yu." Yun Ruhan vaguely remembered that these two were the same as Yu Yu. They were the Demon Emperor's personal guards and the captains of the Gorfine team. Did these two want to kill Yu Yu? Why? Yan couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lady Yuyue doesn't need to know about this. My master didn't want to be enemies with you, but he can only blame you for choosing you as the successor of the Blood Demon Commander-in-Chief token that Elder Min Wei likes the most. Chapter 4160. At this point, Yan An's voice was bitingly cold and solemn. The Blood Demon Marshal's token is one of the most supreme authorities of the demon race. With the Blood Demon Commander's token, you can command the 10 million demon army and become a trusted subordinate of the Demon Venerable like the 4 demon generals. My master has been striving for this position for so many years. How could he allow the position he has worked so hard for to fall into the hands of a lowly, fallen evil? Yun Ruhan's heart skipped a beat, and she almost lost control of her spiritual and immortal energy. Yu Yu was actually a fallen evil. Was that why she had such an unknown side to her? Yu Yu sneered, "I don't care who your master is. If you want to kill me, why don't you do it yourself? Do you think you can kill me?" Of course, it would be impossible if Lord Yuyue was at her peak. Yan did not mind her ridicule at all. He grinned and said, "After all, my lord, you are known as the strongest demon below the demon generals. But it's different now. Killing those spirit cultivators just now consumed a lot of your demonic energy, right? Even if he still has the strength to fight, he is already an arrow at the end of its flight. He won't be able to hold on for long." Yan An's voice paused for a moment before it became somewhat hoarse and resolute. "This lowly one has been lurking by your side since so many years ago. I never thought that I would be able to return alive. My devil core has already been engraved with a devil restriction formation. Once it explodes, the entire immortal abode will collapse. And now, Lord Yuyue, you no longer have the ability to tear open this immortal abode and escape from inside. Ha 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 ha, Lady Yuyue, after being your magical pet for so many years, this lowly one truly admires you. But I am more loyal to my master. Today, I can accompany you to death and fulfill my master's wish. I can die in peace." Yan An's laughter was hysterical and crazy, causing one's eardrums to sting. At this moment, Yun Ruhan was anxious, and the speed at which she circulated her spiritual energy increased. Then, he heard Yu Yu's emotionless voice. "This has nothing to do with him. You only want my life. Let him go." Who was he referring to? Yun Ruhan was slightly startled. When she opened her eyes, all she saw was darkness. But he seemed to see that slender and frail little figure standing proudly. Yen An's voice suddenly became sharp. He only served him for one night, and Lord Yue is already so fond of him. He's just a small demon soldier, a lowly fallen evil. How enviable. However, if you think about it carefully, Lady Yue, although you have many magical pets, I have never seen any of them sleep with you for so many years. Don't tell me that other than this little demon soldier, you've never touched any demon pet. Now that you mention it, it's even more enviable. Yu Yu's voice was cold. So, you're not going to let him go? Hee, of course. Yen An's voice inched closer and closer to Yun Ruhan. Who knows how much this little demon soldier heard? It wouldn't be good if it affected Master's plans. Furthermore, I've already died with you, Lord Yue, but this demon soldier who has served you is still alive. How can I accept this? I'll kill him now, and then I'll go to hell with you, my lord. Boom. The boulder on Yun Ruhan's body was blown away, revealing his still unconscious figure. Yen An's eyes flashed with a strong killing intent. His arms and nails suddenly extended, grabbing toward Yun Ruhan's magic core. Chapter 4161. But before he could touch Yun Ruhan, a light yellow figure suddenly appeared. A cold light flashed, and Yen An's arm was directly chopped off, flying into the air. Yen An took a step back, and his severed arm quickly grew back. But the end was not a palm, but a long and thin knife. His bunny-like face became ferocious at this moment. Lord Yu, am I not beautiful enough? Why do you only protect this trash emo soldier? He extended his arm again, and the knife formed from his palm slashed towards Yun Ruhan and blocked Yu Yu's actions. In the next moment, Yun Ruhan felt a warm liquid drip on his face. It was so hot that his heart almost stopped beating. Ha ha. Lord Yu, so your injuries are more serious than I expected. Yen An's voice was sharp and excited. I did not need to detonate the demon core to complete Master's orders and kill you. Lord Yu, I have been your demon pet for so many years, but I have never fulfilled my duties. Today, let me serve you well before you die. Yen An's voice trembled with excitement as he approached. Actually, this lowly one has to thank Yun Ruhan, that trash emo soldier. If not for saving him, Lord Yu would not have lost your ability to move so quickly, and this lowly one would have the opportunity to serve you. Yen An's eyes burned with fire, and his heart almost jumped out of his chest. Mu Chong of the demon race. He had followed Yu for so many years, and he really liked the strongest captain of the blood demon team. Even if it was not for the mission, he hoped to make love to Lord Yu and have a dream. Unfortunately, he was different from the other high and mighty demons. Yu had a harem of demon pets, but she only kept them, and rarely got close to them, much less asked them to serve her in bed. Yen An had offered to sleep with her many times, but he had been chased out. Of course, there were many like him in Yu Palace who offered to sleep with her. He made up his mind that before he killed Yu, he had to have physical intimacy with her. But Yu Yu's accumulated power caused him to be extremely careful with every step he took. The knife in his hand trembled slightly, and gave off a buzzing sound. The girl sitting on the grass looked so weak and harmless, without the slightest ability to resist. Yen An licked his lips and slowly stretched out his hand. He grabbed Yu Yu's clothes and was about to rip it open. A sudden change occurred. A powerful energy wave came from behind him. Yen An's survival instinct made him sense danger, and his expression changed drastically. But he thought that the danger came from the front, from Yu Yu. Therefore, he did not hesitate to raise the sharp knife in front of his chest, turning it into a shield. However, in the next moment, a sharp pain came from his back. His flesh split open and his bones broke. The pungent stench of blood accompanied by the pain of his monster core being torn inch by inch caused Yan'an to cry out involuntarily as he was sent flying. He struggled for a long time before he finally got up. He turned around abruptly and widened his eyes in disbelief. He saw a green-robed man holding a long sword slowly walking towards him from the ruins of the shattered rockery. Dense spirit chi and immortal chi encircled him and drilled into his body. The long sword in his hand emitted a bright white light. As the long sword swept across the blood-stained grass, a layer of frost instantly formed. Chapter 4162. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find us today. Please remember our domain name, Book C Pavilion, and find your way home. Yun Ruhan ignored him and walked to Yu. Seeing the girl's blood-soaked clothes and the huge wounds on her legs and abdomen, he frowned. He originally wanted to ask, "How are you? Can you stand up?" But now, for some reason, anger surged from the bottom of his heart. He pursed his lips and did not speak, bending over to carry her. Yu was also looking at him in shock. The fire in her eyes flickered as if it wanted to pierce through him. "You're a spirit cultivator?" Yu looked at him expressionlessly. Her eyes were cold and bottomless. "So, you're like them, sneaking into my Yuyue palace to kill me." Now that he could use spirit energy in the Yunyang immortal abode, he could open his storage space. There were very few pills related to the demon race. But Yun Ruhan still found one and fed it to Yu. This pill contains a small amount of demonic chi. It can help you heal. Yu glanced at the black elixir and the corners of her mouth suddenly curled up. She smiled innocently like a young girl and said, "You want to poison me with such a simple method? But it's not bad." As she spoke, she lowered her head and swallowed the pill. Her hot tongue licked Yun Ruhan's fingertips. He felt like he was struck by lightning. His body stiffened and his ears turned red. Yu curled her lips. Her voice was delicate and soft. "What? You're a human spirit cultivator, and you want to taste the demon race? Don't you think the demon race is dirty?" Yun Ruhan coughed lightly. After a while, he calmed his racing heart and said softly, "I'm not a spy, nor did I deliberately deceive you. It was a freak accident that I entered your Yuyue palace." Yu sneered. She wanted to say, "You, a spirit cultivator, disguised as a demon and snuck into Yuyue palace. How dare you say you're not deceiving me?" But the next moment, her small hand was grasped by a wide hand. Yun Ruhan guided his hand to the right of her heart. Her voice was soft, as if explaining and comforting. "You can try injecting some demonic chi. There's a demon core here. I have a half-spirit and half-demon body." Yu was stunned. In disbelief, she channeled her demonic energy into Yun Ruhan's body. In the next moment, he felt a magic core slowly rotating inside. There was not much devil chi lingering around the demon core, and the demon core was also very small. However, the devilish chi it contained was extremely pure, even more so than some low-grade heaven-nourished devils. If it wasn't for the devil chi surrounding him, anyone would think that he was a member of the devil race, a small devil soldier with limitless potential despite being small and weak. But how was this possible? She had been in the abyss for so many years, and had seen all kinds of demons, but none like Yun Ruhan. Even the children of the heaven-nurtured fiends could only choose one path of cultivation, otherwise, their strength would stagnate at the golden immortal level, unable to advance. This was because the two types of energy could not coexist in the same body. Yuyu's expression kept changing. She no longer showed her innocent lowly expression. She stared fixedly at Yun Ruhan as she enunciated each word clearly. "Who are you?" Yun Ruhan let go of her hand and said, "We can talk about this after we get out of here." "This person. What should we do with his demon pet? Yu was stunned. She looked at Yanin and laughed softly. Her voice was crisp and sweet. What else can we do? Kill him, of course. But... She narrowed her eyes and turned to Ruhan. Hey, how long do you plan to hold me? Chapter 4163. Ruhan blushed and almost let go. But thinking of the current situation, his hands trembled slightly, but he still hugged the person in his arms tightly. There's a forbidden array in Yan'an's demon core. If he suddenly chooses to trigger it, the mystic realm will collapse. You're too far away from me, and I can't protect you. I didn't mean to be rude. His voice was calm, but the tips of his ears reddened even more. Yu squeezed the hand that had just been held, and felt that it was very hot. She snorted softly and didn't speak again. But the corners of her mouth unconsciously curled up a little. By now, Yanin had already healed the wounds on his body, and he slowly stood up. He glared fiercely at Ruhan, his eyes full of unwillingness. I didn't expect that my years of planning would be ruined by your hands. Ruhan, I was wrong, I really shouldn't have underestimated you. Lady Yuyue has so many male pets around her all these years, but only you can climb into her bed. Just this alone tells me that you're not simple. Ruhan touched her nose. Climbing into her bed was probably a little different from what Yanin had imagined. But she wasn't interested in explaining this at this time. He merely said in a gentle voice, "You're not my opponent. You'd better surrender." Ha. Ha ha ha. Surrender without a fight. Yen Che acted as if he had heard a great joke. Our demon race has never surrendered without a fight. Do you think that just because you're a Xian immortal, you have victory in your hands? No, everything is just going back to my original plan. I'll use my life to exchange for Lady Yoyue's and your lives. You'll die with me. With a roar, Yan'an's chest and abdomen lit up with a dazzling golden light. Powerful energy radiated from his body, blasting his already injured abdomen into a pulp. Yan'an furrowed his brows in pain, but he continued to laugh hysterically. Buried in my demon core is the 7 Fiend Destruction Array. Even a 5th level demon master or above can't withstand it. Without a master, this Yunyang immortal abode will be destroyed in one blow. If Lady Yuyue still had the strength of your peak, you might be able to survive. But now, only death awaits you, ha ha ha. Yan'an's laughter stopped abruptly. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the young man not far away. It was as if he had seen a ghost. The young man put down the girl in front of him and hugged her to his side. His other free hand stabbed the ice soul sword into the ground. An ice-cold and majestic aura emanated from the ice soul sword and enveloped the entire Yunyang immortal abode. 4th level mountain and sea domain, one sword of the mountains and seas, freezing everything within 10,000 kilometers. The mountain sea domain froze the entire Yunyang immortal abode and protected it. The rockery that had collapsed due to the explosion was covered with frost and gradually stabilized. There was no movement at all. Such a violent and powerful explosion, the Great 7 Fiend Destruction Formation, that even a 5th stage demon master could not withstand, was actually steadily blocked just like that. Even when the ice soul sword pierced through his abdomen and his demon core was frozen and shattered, Yan'an still could not believe what had just happened. He stared fixedly at Ruhan. His lips moved as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he could only collapse helplessly. Ruhan withdrew the ice soul sword and let out a long sigh of relief. In reality, he had not yet adapted to absorbing immortal chi. In the battle of life and death on the floating island, he had narrowly escaped death. Chapter 4164. With the help of little junior sister's star Nirvana skill, his strength broke through Golden Immortal and reached Xian Immortal. But as soon as he reached Xian Immortal, he fell into the abyss. There was no spiritual power or immortal power under the abyss, only demonic energy. This was the first time he used the power of a Xian Immortal, and he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to block Yan An's final attack. Fortunately, his Mountain Sea domain had been upgraded to the 4th level. The Yunyang Immortal Abode also greatly strengthened the spirit cultivators and weakened the demonic cultivators, allowing him to win easily. Yun Ruhan looked at Yu Yu and said gently, "We're going to leave the Yunyang Immortal Abode. Are you ready?" After leaving the Yunyang Immortal Abode, they would arrive at the 4-star main city, Immortal Slaying City. At that time, he would be able to see little junior sister. Mu Yan didn't expect the 4-star main city of the demon race to be like this. The sky was filled with stars, shining dazzlingly whether it was day or night. Not all the houses in the main city were built on the ground. Some were suspended in the air, surrounded by dark red halos, and the halos were filled with dense and pure demonic energy. Hee, are you stunned? Ewing looked at Mu Yan and Night Spirit's stunned expressions and couldn't help but smile proudly. The Immortal Slaying City is modeled after the Demon Imperial City. In terms of beauty and luxury, the other 3 main cities can't compare. Of course. Ewing sighed, her expression turning bitter. In terms of the strength of the participants, the Immortal Slaying City is not comparable to the other main cities. Little Chin, it won't be easy to become the leader of the Immortal Slaying City. Mu Yan was actually a little hesitant to continue participating in the marriage selection. The weakest demon in a 4-star main city was a peak demon guard, and the strongest had even reached the demon general level. A demon master was equivalent to a Xian Immortal among spirit cultivators. And a demon general was equivalent to an immortal king among spirit cultivators. She didn't know if there would be a demon general in the marriage selection. If there was, would her disguise work? She was afraid that people would see through her identity at a glance. But little Chin, you also have a chance. Your cultivation is at the 5th level of Demon Master, and there are only a few who are stronger than you in the entire Immortal Slaying City. Dark Peaks Xiong Fire Fox Palaces Rui Wu. If you meet these people, you have to be careful. Of course, the one you have to be most careful of is that brat from the Hellion clan. At this point, Ewing paused and fear flashed in her eyes. Hellion Jua is the same as you, a child of a heaven-raised demon. His father is the captain of the famous blood demon team, Hellion Guan Yu. When Hellion Jua was young, he also lived among spirit cultivators, but his actions were 100 times more ruthless than the native demons. 100 years ago, when he returned to the hidden abyss, he chose to give up on spirit cultivation and become a demonic cultivator. In just a few decades, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. Now, he had already reached the 7th level of Demon Master. Many people say that Hellion Jua's future achievements will far surpass his father, Hellion Guan Yu. Mu Yan collected her thoughts and looked at Ewing curiously. How did Hellion Jua acknowledge his father? Ewing snapped, is that what you're focusing on? Isn't marrying the princess and climbing to the peak of demon life more important than acknowledging your father? Even if your father is more powerful and has a higher status, can he be higher than the princess? Alright, actually, I'm not too clear. I only know that Hellion Jua has a demon core blood jade in his hands. When he got close to Hellion Guan Yu, there was a reaction, so they acknowledged each other. I'm afraid that not many people in the hidden abyss know the specific details. Chapter 4165. Little Chin, although marrying the princess is important, if you're up against Hellion Jua at the start of the competition, you should just forfeit. He's too ruthless. Even if you win against him, you'll have to pay a huge price. I'm afraid you won't be able to participate in the following matches. Mayan pretends to say inadvertently, then why don't I withdraw from the marriage selection now? Night Spirit echoed hurriedly, that's right, I think that Liangchen's achievements are already shocking enough. Who in the hidden abyss doesn't know Yi Liangchen's name? He didn't have to marry the princess to prove himself. Think about it, there were already so many experts in a 4-star main city. How dangerous would it be when they reached the demon imperial city? Right, hee hee hee. Ying glared at Night Spirit until the latter's hair stood on end and she could no longer laugh. Little Chin, you can't be so lacking in ambition. Ying said resentfully. Do you know how many demons are supporting you in the hidden abyss? Giving up just like this, how disappointing would you make those devils? What's more, if you become the leader of a 4-star main city, you can directly go to the Demon Imperial City and participate in the Heavenly Enchantment Banquet. Do you know what the Heavenly Charm Banquet is? Ying was so excited that her face and neck turned red, and her voice trembled. At the Heavenly Enchantment Banquet, all of the talented young men who want to marry the princess will come. Among them, there is even the #1 expert of the Shushan continent, the Polar Domain's monarch. That was the Polar Domain Empyrean Lord. Don't you want to see him? Don't you want to spar with him? Mu Yan's face darkens, say that again. Who would come? Polar Domain Sovereign Emperor. Ying raised her chin and said proudly, now, everyone in Devil Imperial City and 4-star Main City knows that the Polar Domain's monarch has already agreed to participate in the Heavenly Enchantment Banquet, and wants to marry our princess. Heh, even the Polar Domain's sovereign lord is willing to marry our fiend race's princess. It's sufficient to see how great the princess's charm is. Halfway through her words, Ying finds that Mu Yan's complexion is very unsightly. It's so gloomy that it's practically dripping water. Chin, what's wrong? Was he too surprised and afraid to hear that the Polar Domain's sovereign lord was a competitor? Actually, you don't have to worry. The Honor Demon has already said that our princess will marry more than one husband. Let's not talk about the one in the netherworld first. When the time comes, she will choose another one in the Shushan continent and another one in the hidden abyss. At that time, you can fight for the position of the Emperor's son-in-law. Although you won't be able to become the Emperor's son-in-law, it will be your honor to serve the princess. After all, the Polar Domain's sovereign lord and the Nether Domain's highness are serving the princess together with you. Mu Yan couldn't help but curl up the corner of her lips, revealing a sinister smile. Yeah, this is really my honor. Good, very good. This demon princess was far beyond her imagination. It was not enough to have youngest uncle, she still needed to find a husband in the abyss. Now, 2 son-in-law aren't enough, they also need Di Mingju. Di Mingju, you want to marry a demon princess. Good. That's great. Ying said cautiously, little Chin, why is your smile making me scared? What was going on? If you really want to withdraw from the betrothal selection, then we can do so. I'll do my best to help you find out which demon scum your father is. Mu Yan took a deep breath, and the sinister smile on her face became perfect and flawless. No, of course I want to participate in the betrothal selection. How could I miss the opportunity to be the Emperor's son-in-law together with the Nether Domain's highness and the Polar Domain's sovereign lord? Di Mingju, just you wait. Whoever withdraws from the betrothal selection is a dog. Chapter 4166. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. The young man's long eyebrows slanted to his temples, his peach blossom eyes rippling like water. Even though she was dressed as a man, she still exuded a captivating charm, causing Ying to be dumbfounded. If she was a princess, there would be no need to compete or find a husband. She would decisively take such a beauty into her arms, and from then on, she would never look at other common women. The competition in the 4-star main city was different from the competition in the 1 to 3-star main city. The immortal slaying city had already gone through a round of competition. In the end, 10 male devils with outstanding looks, great strength, and a clean history of love were chosen. At this point, there were very few who could stay and participate in the competition. Therefore, the competition system in 4-star main cities was one-on-one. There were 3 matches every day. The winner would advance and the loser would be eliminated. Mu Yan had a bye today, but she still followed Yu Ying to the arena. Because Hellion Zhuo was competing today. She also wanted to see just how strong this Hellion Zhuo, who was also a descendant of the demon race like herself, was, who caused Yu Ying to feel fear. The first match was between Hellion Zhuo and the head of a 3-star main city, Tang Hongyi. What surprised Mu Yan was that Hellion Zhuo's appearance was very outstanding. It was different from Bailey Weiran's gentleness and elegance. Hellion Zhuo had a tall nose and deep eyes. His figure was tall and slender, and his eyes were brown like a wolf's. He had a handsome appearance and powerful strength. Hellion Zhuo naturally had many supporters. Almost as soon as he appeared, the immortal slaying square immediately burst into an uproar. Someone was screaming, someone was shouting Hellion Zhuo's name. There were also people who scattered mabe on the stage. However, there was also a portion of people who immediately retreated when they saw Hellion Zhuo, hiding in the crowd. Their eyes were filled with fear and dread. Mu Yan had already mentally prepared herself. Hellion Zhuo's match would definitely be one-sided. However, she had never imagined that the gap between them would be so huge. That was a true crushing defeat. His opponent was also a ranker who had fought his way up from a 3-star main city, a 3rd-order demon master. But in Hellion Zhuo's hands, he couldn't even withstand a single move. The scariest thing was the injuries on Tang Hongyi's body. His bones were crushed inch by inch, his flesh was cut open by sharp nails, and his intestines were picked out. The only thing that was still intact was the magic core. As long as the magic cores were still there, the devils could recover from their injuries and be reborn. But that also depended on the severity of the injury. With Tang Hongyi's injuries, it would take at least 10 years for him to recover his strength. Tang Hongyi's blood-curdling screams seemed to echo in the immortal slaying square. The people who had just been screaming and cheering for Hellion Zhuo were now completely silent, their faces pale. Even with the cruel and bloodthirsty nature of the devil race, looking at this scene, they could not help but be horrified. Yu Ying and Night Spirit gripped Mu Yan's hands tightly, as though they were trying to draw strength from her. Night Spirit said with a trembling voice, "Liang Qin, should we retreat? If we meet him, we'll withdraw from the competition, okay?" The female demon soldier looks at Mu Yan with a pleading look. She was the only one who knew that Yap Liangqin was a woman. Even if he were to become the final victor of the betrothal contest, there was no way he could marry the princess. What was the point of risking her life to fight like this? This time, even Yu Ying did not speak. Mayan rubbed Night Spirit's head and was about to speak. Suddenly, she saw Hellion Zhuo, who had already been declared the victor on the magic crystal platform, fly in a certain direction. "Lord Yue, I really didn't expect that you would come to watch my competition as well. How was my performance just now? Did it satisfy you, Lord?" Chapter 4167. Everyone's attention was attracted by Hellion Zhuo's words, and they couldn't help but look over. When they heard the meaning of Hellion Zhuo's words and saw who he was flying towards, the demons on the immortal slaughtering square sucked in a breath of cold air and retreated as if they had seen a ghost. In the blink of an eye, that area became empty, leaving only a beautiful and adorable girl standing there. And behind her, there was a young man dressed in green with a gentle appearance. The moment she saw the young man, Mayan's eyes widened, and her heart almost stopped beating. As the crowd retreated, Yun Ruhan, who was standing next to Yu, became extremely conspicuous. Helianjua's arrogant gaze fell on her, and he smiled faintly. Lord Yu's eyesight is getting better and better. Now, even such a lowly little demon soldier can catch your eye. Yu fanned herself with a bored expression, then looked at Yun Ruhan, and complained with puffed cheeks, the smell of immortal slaughtering city is too bad, it smells like a wolf. I can't see little Chin Chin here either. Forget it, let's go back. Yun Ruhan had just seen the flow of the immortal slaughtering city's marriage selection. He found that his junior sister would only appear on the third day. And the immortal slaughtering square was crowded. Even if Mayan came to watch the competition, he might not be able to find her. So he nodded, okay. Yu's eyes were bright, like an innocent and cute little girl. I know that the immortal slaughtering city's demon blood cold cake is very delicious. Come with me to buy it. Yun Ruhan looked at her with a somewhat helpless and doting gaze. Lord, you said before that eating too much demon blood cold cake would make one's stomach bloated. You can't sleep well at night. Did I say that? I don't care, I must eat it. If I really have a bloated stomach and can't sleep well, you'll be responsible for warming my bed until I fall asleep. Helianjua's expression suddenly became extremely gloomy. Because from beginning to end, Yu didn't even look at him. She even treated him as if he didn't exist. Helianjua, who had always been feared and admired by others, had his face contorted for an instant before he started to laugh lowly. His figure suddenly flickered, and he appeared in front of Yu and Yun Ruhan, who were about to leave. His handsome face was filled with a careless mischievousness. I remember now, the family seems to be lacking a watchdog. I think the one by Lady Yoyue's side is not bad. If Lady Yoyue has no objections, I will take him with me. As soon as he finished speaking, Helianjuo raised his hand, and a dark light shot out from his palm, instantly wrapping around Yun Ruhan. Yun Ruhan wanted to struggle free, but she discovered that the black threads wrapped around her body were actually formed from pure demonic energy. If he wanted to break free, he would have to expose his identity as a spirit cultivator. Otherwise, he would not have been able to do it with the demonic aura of his demonic weapon. Yu's eyes turned cold. She finally looked straight at Helianjua. Helianjua, has the water of the river of forgetfulness entered your brain? Even your father doesn't dare to be so arrogant in front of me. You want to take someone away from me? Do you think I'm dead? Helianjua laughed heartily, as if he was very satisfied to see Yu's expression change. He extended his index finger and shook it lightly. The black demonic aura around his fingertip immediately affected the threads binding Yun Ruhan, causing him to reveal a somewhat pained expression. I want to take him away. What does Lady Yue want? Kill me. Chapter 4168. The corners of Yu's mouth curled up, a bloodthirsty and cold light flashing in her eyes, but the voice that came out of her mouth was even softer and sweeter. Fine. Since you want to die so badly, I'll kill you. As soon as she finished speaking, the petite girl's figure had already disappeared. Helianjua's gaze hardened, his hands slightly spread apart, his entire body as still as a boulder. The dark green light around him suddenly exploded. Boom! With a loud sound, Helianjua took a few steps back, his body swaying, a few traces of blood flowing from the corners of his mouth. The petite girl in front of him slowly landed, looking at him with an icy expression. The immortal slaying square was dead silent. Everyone stared at the scene with their eyes wide open. Lord Yu had won this battle. Wasn't that to be expected? Lord Yu was a peak demon master, while Helianjua was only a level 7 demon master. But in the next moment, Helianjua burst into a burst of wild laughter. Lord Yu, what's wrong with you? The demonic energy hasn't dissipated, and you don't have the usual sharpness and killing intent. The attacks that hit my body are like tickles. It won't be so easy to kill me with just this. Yu frowned slightly at him, saying in a low voice, your cultivation has already broken through to level 8 Demon Master. She was using a statement. The surrounding demons in the Immortal Massacre City all gasped and they heard this. Especially those male demons who were going to participate in the marriage selection, they were even more fearful and hesitant, wondering if they should admit defeat in advance if their opponent was Helianjua. Level 8 Demon Master. He was only one step away from the strength of the 3 blood demon captains. Moreover, Helianjua was so ferocious, and even knew some remarkable techniques that demons didn't know. Who could compete with such an opponent for the position of Emperor's son-in-law? Helianjua wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth as he walked towards Yu, his face full of arrogance. Lord Yu has good eyesight. Not bad, my demon core has already broken through to level 8 Demon Master, and I'm only a small bottleneck away from level 9 Demon Master. But logically, even a level 9 Demon Master should have a big gap with you, Lord Yu. But from the looks of it, Lord Yu isn't as strong as I thought. Don't tell me he's injured. Yu sneered, so, the banquet was arranged by Helian Guan Yu. But it wasn't for himself, but for his precious son. The Helian family is really not bad. They even know how to use the human spirit cultivator's scheming methods. Hearing this, Helianjua narrowed his eyes as the smile on his lips deepened. Yenan was indeed Guan Yu's trusted subordinate, but Helianjua was the one who arranged for him to be by Yu's side. He wanted the noble status of the princess's son-in-law, and he also wanted the Gorfine team to have real power. One day, the entire submerged abyss would belong to him, Helianjua. He would become the supreme demon lord. If he wanted to ascend to the position of the demon lord, Yu would be his biggest obstacle. Yanan's soul lamp suddenly went out, but Yu appeared in the Immortal Massacre City. Helianjua thought that his plan had failed. That was why he disregarded everything and tried to investigate in public. He was overjoyed to find out what he was looking for. Yu was injured, and it was not a light injury. If he wanted to get rid of her, these few days in the Immortal Massacre City would be the best opportunity. On the other hand, the skilled and bold Helianjua did not even wait to return home to report to his father that Guan Yu had sent an assassin. He wanted to severely injure Yu in public. Chapter 4169. He couldn't wait for all the demons to see. He, Helianjua, was the strongest among the younger generation of demons, the only choice for the princess's husband. Helianjua waved his finger and pulled Yunruhan, who was bound by demonic silk, in front of him. Lady Yu, I don't want this dog anymore. But I don't like him. Today, I'll end his dog life. Yu shouted, you dare. She instantly moved forward, her body emitting a thick bloody aura. The immortal slaughtering plaza was instantly engulfed by strong winds. But Helianjua was not afraid at all. Instead, he laughed even more happily and excitedly. Yu was fighting by burning her demonic core. This meant that she was truly at the end of her tether. Apart from expending her own cultivation, there was no other way. And this useless demonic soldier next to him was probably Yu's new pet. She was willing to sacrifice herself to save him. The heavens are really helping me today. Seeing Yu charge over in a bloody mist, Helianjua quickly controlled Yunruhan to block in front of him. At the same time, a blood-red dagger appeared in his hand. This dagger was coated with a poison that could corrode demonic cores. If Yu was touched by it, her injuries would worsen, and she would no longer be able to resist. With Yu Yu's cultivation, she shouldn't have been injured so easily. But who asked her to worry about this demonic pet? With her mind in a mess, it was easy for her to fall for it. Even if she didn't fall for it, watching her beloved demonic pet die in front of her was enough to make her lose her mind and reveal a flaw. Yun Ruhan looked at Helianjua's smug smile and couldn't help but frown. Yu, don't come over. I don't need you to save me. Yu replied in a slightly hoarse but resolute voice. I'm the master. You can't decide whether I need to be saved or not. Yun Ruhan's heart sank. Looking at the wounds on the girl's body, he couldn't help but feel heartache. He made up his mind. The remaining spirit chi in his body churned in his dantian. But in the next moment, a dazzling white light flashed across the immortal slaughtering plaza, almost blinding everyone. The sword light whizzed past Yun Ruhan, directly cutting through the black demonic aura around his body. Then, it suddenly turned into a flying sword and carried him in a circle in the air. Finally, it slowly landed beside a young man. Yun Ruhan's eyes widened when he saw the youth's appearance. He was overjoyed. Junior, brother, is it really you? Because she sees that Mayan is dressed in men's clothing, she forcibly swallows back the words that are on the tip of her tongue, and changes it to little junior brother. Mu Yen couldn't help but be overjoyed. She pulled Yun Ruhan's hand and examined his body. After making sure that he wasn't injured or left with any sequelae, and that his cultivation had broken through to the profound immortal realm, he revealed a brilliant smile. Eldest senior brother, why are you here? You've been here all this time. Why didn't you come to find me? Mayan remembers that she's been wandering alone in the underworld all this time. She can't help but feel sad when she thinks of her junior martial uncle. She can't help but worry when she thinks of her fellow apprentices, Di Mingju and Xiao Bao. Her words unconsciously carry a bit of grievance. To her, the disciples of the Xiao Yao sect were her real family. She was able to open her heart and trust him wholeheartedly. Chapter 4170. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. It's just that. Junior martial brother, why are you participating in the Devil Race Princess's marriage selection? Have you ever thought about how dangerous this could be? Have you thought about how this will end? Only the heavens knew that when he saw that his junior sister wanted to be the prince consort of the demon race's princess, his soul almost flew out of his body. Not to mention whether or not she would get hurt in the competition, just the fact that she was a woman disguised as a man would be exposed. What could he do in the demon race's territory? With the Qianyuan enveloped by the barrier, they didn't even have a place to escape. Mayan touches her nose and quickly changes the subject. Eldest brother, this bastard dares to bully you, I'll teach him a lesson for you. The disciples of the Xiaoyao sect love to cause trouble, so they had been taught a lesson by their eldest martial brother. Every time their eldest senior brother asked them to keep a low profile, they always had no chance to do so. Moreover, every time he stirred up trouble, he was often caught red-handed by eldest senior brother. Then, the eldest senior brother would start a lecture mode that would make their hair stand on end. Whenever Mu Yen thought of that scene, coupled with the fact that 4th senior sister, 5th senior brother, and 7th senior brother weren't with her, and all the firepower was focused on her, she felt apprehensive. After speaking, she immediately walked towards Helianjua and sneered, "Didn't Brother Helian want to find someone to fight? Why did they take advantage of the injured Yue? If you want to fight, how about I accompany you?" At this moment, Helianjua's face was so gloomy that it could drip water. He looked coldly at Mu Yen and said sternly, "Who do you think you are? Are you even worthy to fight with me?" As soon as he finished speaking, someone in the crowd screamed, "Yi Liangqin! Ah! Is this Yi Liangqin? He was so handsome. He's 100 times more handsome than Helianjua. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to support Demon King Yi Liangqin. Oh, I've long heard that Demon King Yi has been assigned to our immortal slaughter city. I was wondering when I would be able to see his graceful bearing. I didn't expect to see him so soon. Yap Liangqin. Who is it? Could it be that he's even more powerful and charming than Helianjua? Idiot. Have you not been to Tianguang ruins recently? You don't know what the 3 rankings mean, do you? Demon King Yi is currently publicly recognized as the strongest expert of the younger generation. Not to mention us in the Hidden Abyss, even the Polar Domain and the Nether Realm recognize him. Understood. Bah, the fights in the Tianguang ruins are just child's play. How can it be compared to a real fight? I still think that Wolf King Helianjua is more powerful. The onlookers of the devil race started to quarrel. Helianjua found it hard to believe that the demon race that supported him and the demon race that supported Yi Liangqin were actually evenly matched. He was a country bumpkin from a low-level main city, a poor youth without any family background. He actually wants to be on equal footing with me. Why? Helianjua was furious, but he didn't show it on his face. He grinned evilly and said, "So you are Yap Liangqin." What? He wanted to curry favor with Lady Yuyue just to become the princess's son-in-law. Is a kid like you, who hasn't even grown hair, worthy of Her Highness the Princess? Mu Yan sneered, the 7 absolute sword in her hand slightly slanted. She said indifferently, "Let's not talk about whether or not I'm currying favor with Lady Yuyue, but I thought that our devil race pursues upright, where the strong are respected. Turns out that's not the case. Like Brother Helian, who likes to take advantage of people's difficulties and scheme. You clearly know that Lady Yuyue is injured, but you still insist on making a move at this time." Chapter 4171. You clearly know that Lord Yuyue is injured, yet you insist on making a move at this time. A level 8 demon lord, taking a demon soldier as a hostage. TSK, even the most despicable and shameless spirit cultivator wouldn't do such a shameless thing, right? I'm guessing that if Her Royal Highness recruited someone like you as her son-in-law, she would be too embarrassed to bring you out, right? Helianjua's eyes suddenly condensed with thick killing intent. But the angrier he got, the brighter the smile on his face. "Yi Liangqin, have you thought it through? Fight with me on the magic crystal platform, and you'll at least have a chance to live. Provoking me now will cost you your life." As he spoke, the pressure of a level 8 demon lord was suddenly released. The immortal slaughtering square that was still chattering noisily just a moment ago instantly went silent. All the demons retreated, their faces revealing a horrified expression. Yuying and Night Spirit were so anxious that they were about to cry. Not caring whether she would offend the Helian family, Yuying hurriedly rushed out, forcing herself to calm down. "Young Master Helian, the Demon Lord has stipulated that all the demons participating in the marriage selection are not allowed to kill each other except in the competition. Young Master Helian, please reconsider." Helianjua narrowed his eyes, his figure suddenly swayed and disappeared on the spot. Yu Ying's eyes suddenly widened. Because in the next moment, Helianjua had already appeared in front of her. Sharp and cold demonic claws mercilessly clawed at her heart. There was her magic core. Yuying had a premonition that this time, her magic core would be directly crushed, and she would die. But at this time, her whole body was stiff, and she didn't even have the strength to move. Mu Yan turned around and saw this scene, her eyes cold. Her footsteps changed, and her figure gradually turned into a shadow. However, there was one person who moved faster than her. Smack! Smack, 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 smack. A series of crisp sounds stunned everyone on the immortal slaying square. Heliange's body suddenly flew out. As soon as he landed, he suddenly stood up with a carp flip. A pair of tiger eyes were completely red, containing disbelief, anger, and killing intent as he looked forward. Not far away, a young and beautiful girl was swinging her hand, revealing a disdainful expression. "Your face is so oily. My hands are all dirty now." Heliange let out an earth-shattering roar. You dare hit me." Yu tilted her head slightly and looked at him with a faint smile. "Not only do I dare to hit you, I also dare to kill you. Do you believe me?" The veins on Heliange's forehead popped out, and his hands that were clenched into fists emitted cracking sounds. Clearly, he was furious. "Yu, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Do you really think I can't kill you?" Heliange's entire body began to emit a dense black aura, and a long black blade condensed in his palm. Everyone could see the viciousness and killing intent in his eyes. Yu's brows furrowed imperceptibly. Her face was still smiling, but her entire body tensed up. She could sense that the pressure and aura emanating from Heliange's body was definitely above the 8th level of Demon Master. This person had hidden himself very deeply. The battle was about to begin. However, at this time, an old man hurriedly ran to Heliange's side, and lowered his voice to whisper in his ear. "Young Master asked me to inform you not to act rashly. The most important thing now is for you to become the final candidate for the Princess Son-in-Law and participate in the Heavenly Enchantment Banquet a month later." Chapter 4172. Heliange's eyes are crimson, revealing an ominous glint. The old man trembles in fear. He whispers a few more words, and his pupils slowly return to brown. The long blade in his hand disappears, and he coldly snorts at Yu. "I'll remember these slaps. One day, I'll make you pay back 10-fold, 100-fold. And you." He turns to look at Mayan, his eyes deep and cold. "Yi Liangchen, you better pray that you don't meet me so soon, so that you can live a little longer." After saying this, Heliange turns and leaves, disappearing in a few steps. Mayan is used to this kind of clamor, and doesn't take it to heart. She turns to look at Yu, and then at Big Brother. Coughing lightly, she tries her best to speak in a calm tone. "Big Brother, what's the relationship between you and Lord Yue?" However, her sparkling eyes, full of interest, betray her gossipy nature. Yun Ruhan glares at her, then says, "It was Lord Yue who saved my life. Even though she brought him back as a magical pet." Mayan wants to ask again, but she swallows her words after looking at Yu, smiling. "Big Brother, let's talk about it after we return to the inn." Saying that, she gives Yun Ruhan a look, indicating for him to support Yu. As soon as she enters the room, Yu spits out a mouthful of blood. She was seriously injured in the Yunyang Immortal Mansion, and she didn't have the patience to stay in a place to recuperate, so her injuries haven't fully healed. Today, fighting with Heliange made her injuries even worse. Just now, because she was in front of others, she kept holding on. It was also because Mayan saw her injuries that she hinted for them to return to the inn. Yu. Yun Ruhan is startled, and quickly hugs her. "You're injured so badly." She's injured so badly, but she still refuses to properly adjust her breathing, and wants to go to the Slaughtering Immortal Square to watch the fun. Yun Ruhan simply doesn't know what to say about this willful little witch. Yu glares at him, her voice is indignant, but righteous. "Why do you care about me? If I didn't go, would you have met your little brother? Now that you have little brother, you don't have to care about me. Are you happy?" Yun Ruhan didn't understand why this little demoness would suddenly get angry. He simply looks at Mayan. "Junior, brother, can you cure Yu's injury?" Mu Yen smiled and said, "Of course I can, but we have rules in the Xiaoyao sect." I can't treat anyone who isn't a member of the Xiaoyao sect. Big brother, do you think Lady Yuyue is an insider of our Xiaoyao school? Yun Ruhan, since when did the Xiaoyao school have such a rule? He gave his junior sister a warning look. Don't mess around. Quick, check her injuries. Mu Yan couldn't help but laugh. She wondered if the Xiaoyao school would have another sister-in-law. However, the disciples of the Xiaoyao sect were naturally afraid of Yun Ruhan. After being glared at, she didn't dare cause any more trouble. He quickly went to check on Yu Yu's injuries. Yu Yu was indeed severely injured. After speaking to Yun Ruhan, he fainted. Because she can't take out the Tian Imo Qin, Mayan can't use her healing technique right now. Therefore, the only way was to use pills to alleviate the injury. Fortunately, she had refined a lot of magic pills before. Mu Yan fed all of them to Yu Yu. After a while, the effect of the pills took effect. The magic nucleus in Yu Yu's body began to rotate rapidly, and her injury recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Mu Yan breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that it was effective. Chapter 4173. At the side, Night Spirit and Yuing are already dumbfounded. They know that the cultivation elixir Yi Liangshan refines is of the highest quality, and it's hard to find one nowadays. But they didn't expect that she can also refine elixirs that can heal magic core injuries. What kind of monster is this guy? On the contrary, Yun Ruhan is already used to his little junior sister's omnipotence. The two finally reunited after a narrow escape from death. There are too many things to talk about. After sending Night Spirit and Yuing away, Mu Yan tells everything that happened after Yun Ruhan and the others faked their deaths. Hearing that Little Master died in front of them, Yun Ruhan says loudly, "Impossible. Even we can survive, Little Master won't die so easily." His tone is resolute, but his voice is trembling and his hands are clenched tightly. It's enough to show how panicked he is. Mu Yan takes a deep breath and says hoarsely, "That's why I disguised myself as a man and participated in the Demon Princess's marriage selection. Because there is a marriage contract between the Demon Princess and Little Master, the other party of the marriage contract may know whether Little Master is still alive or not." Yun Ruhan's eyes widen slightly. Little Master has a marriage contract with the Demon Princess. Mu Yan nods, and that Demon Princess seems to be Little Master's sweetheart. Although this sweetheart is really not good. Little Master's life or death is still unknown, and the whole world is already choosing a son-in-law. Thinking that even Di Mingju also came to the heavenly enchantment banquet, she wants to grind her teeth. Yun Ruhan looks at Mu Yan with a strange expression. He remembers the scene he saw with Little Third in the Shuzhen continent. Does Little Master really like a nuisance demon princess? It should be. Yun Ruhan calms down and puts that distant scene out of his mind. "Little junior sister, what can I help you with?" Mu Yan takes out a lot of elixirs and mabe from her storage ring and says with a smile, "Eldest senior brother, what you need the most right now is to improve your demon strength as soon as possible. In this hidden abyss, there is no spiritual power or immortal power, only demonic energy. This is the best opportunity for you to cultivate your demon body and forge a demon core. You have a true half-demon and half-spirit body, so there will be no conflict between spiritual and demonic cultivation. But if the two cannot reach a balance, I'm afraid you will never be able to master divine power in this life." Yun Ruhan, others were still working hard to improve their immortal and devil chi, but his little junior sister already looked down on immortal and devil chi, and wanted him to cultivate godly power. "Very good, this is very junior sister." Yun Ruhan solemnly received the things, and then reached out to gently rub Mu Yan's head, his voice soft. "It's been hard on you during this period of time. If there's anything in the future, eldest brother will help you shoulder it together." I have a premonition that little martial uncle is definitely still alive. Mayan's eyes reddened all of a sudden. During this period of time, her performance had been very normal. She participated in the marriage contest, went through the rankings in Tianguang ruins, and cultivated step by step to improve her strength. But every time she closed her eyes, she would see the scene on the floating island that shattered her soul. In order not to implicate them, youngest martial uncle cut off his own heart and died in front of her. As for her, she could do nothing but watch helplessly. Just like back then, she could only watch helplessly as her master was burned to ashes by the flames. She was more eager than ever to improve her strength. Not only did she want to make herself stronger, but she also wanted the people around her to become stronger, so that no one could hurt her anymore. Chapter 4174. She didn't want to see anyone die in front of her like little martial uncle. Mu Yan smiled, stared at Yun Ruhan, and said in a hoarse voice, "Then senior brother, please become strong, strong enough that no one will take you away from me. Strong enough that our Xiaoyao sect is invincible and unstoppable." Yun Ruhan's heart ached and nodded, "Okay, I promise you." He looked at the thing in his hand and slowly clenched his fists. He had to be stronger. He didn't want to be a burden to little sister and third brother. He didn't want little sister to face life and death alone one day. Mu Yan always felt that the dark lowly Yu Yu was interested in her senior brother. But what she didn't expect was that when she woke up the next morning, she saw the girl lying on the bed side by side with her. Mu Yan was startled and quickly sat up from the bed. Yu Yu's giggling laughter came to her ears. "Little Chin Chin, why are you so afraid? We're both women, what else can I do to you?" Mu Yan's mouth twitched. Was I seen through? But it wasn't surprising to be seen through. Yu Yu's strength was very strong. Before in Red Star City, because the situation was tense, and the two were far apart most of the time, they weren't noticed. Last night, Mu Yan treated her injuries, and the two were very close. Finally, Yu Yu woke up and stared at her for a while. At that time, Mu Yan guessed that her disguise as a man had been seen through. "Ha ha ha, a girl like you actually dares to participate in the election of the demon princess, ha ha ha. Little Chin Chin, you are so interesting. The more I look at you, the more I like you." The girl's little hand reached out to her face. Mu Yan dodged sideways and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Lord Yue, do you fancy me or my eldest senior brother? If you want to be my sister-in-law, just say it." The teasing expression on Yu Yu's face froze, and then she frowned bitterly. "Am I so obvious? Could it be that I'm so horny when I look at that little magic pet that even you, little Chin Chin, can tell?" Puff. Little magic pet. Mu Yan coughed lightly and said, "So, Yu, you really want to be my sister-in-law?" Yu Yu straightened her small chest. "What? Am I not qualified?" Mayan stifled a laugh and said, "Enough, enough. But according to the rules of our Xiaoyao school, you have to marry into our family. Whether I marry into his family or not, we'll talk about it after I seduce him." Yu Yu waved her little hand and said boldly, "After I get him into bed with me, if his skills are good enough to satisfy me, I'll consider marrying into your Xiaoyao school. It's not impossible." Pfft. Cough cough cough. "Lady Yue, what kind of nonsense are you spouting?" Mayan's face flushes red, and after a long while, she chokes out, "Then you can do your best." Yu Yu did not know what it meant to cheer for Yi Liangqin, but she was sure that Yi Liangqin was not her rival in love. Yu Yu was in a good mood. "But before that, I have to go back to the Demon Blood Guards. It's time to settle some scores with that old dog, Guan Yu. Ahem, before I leave, I came to find you to remind you of something. He was definitely not here to investigate his rival in love." Chapter 4175. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find us today. Dear readers, please remember our domain name, Book Ocean Pavilion, and find your way home. Mu Yen was stunned. Although she didn't have much contact with Yu Yu, she could tell that this black-bellied loli was an arrogant and willful person. For Yu Yu to say, "I'll retreat immediately if I can't take it anymore," it was clear that Helianjua's strength was far greater than what he appeared to be on the surface. Mu Yen nodded and said, "Thank you. There's no need to thank me. After all, I was drooling over you too." Yu Yu suddenly leaned in and kissed her on the cheek. Then, she giggled and disappeared from the room. Mu Yen touched her face and was speechless. She felt that the Xiaoyao sect would be in a mess in the future with such a sister-in-law. Night Spirit and Yuing had been on tenterhooks because of the enmity with Helianjua. They were afraid that Mu Yen would meet Helianjua in the upcoming matches. But luckily, Mu Yan's next opponents weren't strong. She advanced smoothly all the way. Her reputation and prestige in the immortal slaying city grew day by day. At the final stage of the competition, her popularity was almost on par with Helianjua's. On the 14th day of the immortal slaying city's marriage selection, only Mu Yen, Helianjua, and 2 other level 7 demon masters had not been eliminated. In the immortal slaying city's city lord's residence, the city lord was kneeling in front of a young man with a respectful expression. "Lord Tianhe, I didn't expect you to personally come to the immortal slaying city. It's our honor." "Alright, enough with the pleasantries." Tianhe waved his hand and said impatiently, "Bring me to the immortal slaying square and find a quiet place for me to watch the competition. Damn it, if not for the fact that I don't want to embarrass myself at the heavenly enchantment banquet, I wouldn't have come to watch these brats." The city lord of the immortal slaying city chuckled dryly and hurriedly led the way. Tianhe asked as he walked, "Oh right, which 4 brats from your immortal slaying city made it to the finals?" The city lord wiped the sweat off his forehead and answered, "They are Helianjua, Yi Liangqin, Xiong Shu, and Rui Wu. Ha, the little wolf cub from the Helian family that your father, was really nominated. I have a good eye." Yap Liangqin. It sounded familiar. Was he the pretty boy that Xue Jie was obsessed with recently? "TSK, how did you get assigned to me? If I get eliminated here, Xue Jie won't come looking for me, right?" As Tianhe muttered to himself, the city lord brought him to a room suspended in the air above the immortal massacre square. "Sir, do you think this place will do?" Tian he waved his hand and threw a demonic aroma fruit into his mouth. At the same time, he looked down in boredom. The match hadn't even started yet, but he was already feeling drowsy. He yawned and said to the immortal slaying city lord, "I'm going to take a nap. Wake me up when they're done." The city lord's mouth twitched, and he was about to agree. Something on Tianhe's waist suddenly lit up. He let out a blood-curdling scream and jumped up. While complaining that it was hot, he hurriedly took out a magic crystal from his waist. After injecting demonic energy into the magic crystal, Min Wei's face immediately appeared in front of him. Tianhe felt his skin tighten, and he hurriedly said, "Elder Min Wei, what are you doing? Is the sacred item of the demon race for you to use like this?" "My skin was almost scalded by the holy flame demon fire." Min Wei smiled sinisterly and said, "The other 3 have already sent over the live feed of the match. What are you doing?" Chapter 4176. Don't tell me you found a place to sleep in. Do you believe that when you come back, I will peel off your entire skin instead of scald it off? The corner of Tianhe's mouth twitched. After a while, he laughed dryly. "The competition hasn't started yet. Why are you in such a hurry?" "Alright, I will send you a video, alright?" After saying that, he reluctantly took out a black stone and placed it on the windowsill in front of him. As Tianhe continued to pour in demonic qi, the black stone began to rotate left and right, emitting a faint light. The Immortal Massacre City Lord was surprised. "Sir, is this the magic mirage stone that can transmit images and sounds in real time?" Tianhe nodded listlessly and yawned again. The magic mirage stone was not an ordinary mirage stone. In terms of magic treasures, it was already at the level of a divine monarch equipment. But the magic mirage stone had a weakness. It needed a steady stream of pure demonic qi to be activated. Otherwise, the transmission would be cut off. Tianhe originally wanted to sleep until the end of the competition, but now that he was being watched by Elder Minwei, he could forget about it. Forget it. Although it was boring to watch a few whelps fight back and forth. However, he had no choice but to reluctantly take a look. Tianhe yawned again and looked down at the plaza. However, this glance caused his expression to change slightly. His expression became heavy for the first time. The final round of the 4-star main city was a 4-person competition. However, the competition format was no longer one-on-one, but a 4-person mixed battle. The one who could stand until the end on the Magic Crystal platform would be the champion of the Immortal Massacre City. Logically speaking, Tianhe had only taken a nap earlier. The competition below could be said to have started not long ago. However, at this moment, there were only 2 people left on the Magic Crystal platform. Helian Jua and Yiliang Qin. And no matter which one of them emitted demonic qi, it was pure and powerful. Even Tianhe, who was high above, could feel it. This seems interesting. I know that the little whelps of the Helian family are capable. I didn't expect that the pretty boy that Shui Jie favors would also exceed my expectations. On the Magic Crystal platform on the Immortal Massacre Plaza, Helianjua took out a snow-white handkerchief and gently wiped his fingers. His hands had just pierced through Xiong-Shu's chest. His fingertips were emitting flames, burning Xiong-Shu's internal organs into nothingness. But at this moment, his fingers were clean. After the snow-white handkerchief was removed, it was still spotless. When the Rui shaman witnessed this scene from below, he felt his heart tremble and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He was glad that the one who chose him was Yiliang Chen and not Helianjua. The 7 absolute sword in her hand stabbed towards the weakest part of Helianjua's demonic qi without hesitation. Puqi. The 7 absolute sword effortlessly pierced through Helianjua's body. But Mu Yan's complexion has changed. Ha ha ha, Yap Liang Qin, taste my whirling dragon phantom kill. A sharp whistling sound rang in her ears, almost piercing her eardrums. In the blink of an eye, Mu Yan felt as if his eyes were covered in bright red, and his mind was buzzing. She lost her sense of hearing and sight. The most frightening thing was that when she released her divine sense, it was blocked by a powerful force. Mu Yan's mind shudders and she quickly retrieves the 7 absolute swords. At the same time, he cast Astral Domain as fast as he could. Bang! A deafening sound swept up the entire immortal slaying square. All the demons watching the battle were forced to retreat again and again. The Magic Crystal platform, which was supposed to be incomparably hard, actually had pieces of shattered crystal splattering. After a long time, the violent wind stopped, and the dust settled. Only then did everyone see the situation on the Magic Crystal platform clearly. They saw Helianjua and Mu Yan standing at opposite ends. He wanted to establish his own force with the Helian family as the center. Once he obtained the Blood Demon Commander-in-Chief's token, his strength would continue to break through in the future, and even the position of the Demon Venerable might be his. Apart from marrying the mysterious and unfathomable demon princess, he was also participating in the betrothal selection. Another very important reason was that he could take the opportunity to convince the spectating devil race, making them willingly offer their devil souls and become his followers. However, Helianjua did not expect that Yi Liangqin would appear out of nowhere. From the 1-star main city to the 4-star main city, his performance in every match was stunning and eye-catching. In addition, he unified the 3 lists in the Tianguang ruins, greatly boosting the demon race's prestige in front of the spirit cultivators. As a result, more and more demon race madly worshipped this handsome and immature youth. The people of the 4-star main city could only participate in the matches of the 4-star main city. Chapter 4179. A person from a 4-star main city can only participate in a 4-star main city tournament. Helianjua never had a chance to perform before. Yi Liangqin, on the other hand, came all the way from a 1-star main city. Many demons who are loyal to him even spent a large amount of mabe to follow him to a 4-star main city. During this period of time, Helianjua wants to use ruthless methods to show his strength and bravery. But the rumors in the Immortal Massacre City are like, who said that demons must be ruthless? Do you really like it that much when someone pierces your stomach and pulls out your intestines? I still think that Demon King Yi is better. If he can fight, then fight. There's no need to blindly compete. Even after the tournament, there are more people who directly offer their demon souls and swear allegiance to Yi Liangqin than him. Helianjua originally made up his mind to ruthlessly humiliate Yi Liangqin in the finals, so that he no longer has the strength to compete with him. Who knew that in the battle, he would discover that this person is the same as him, a child of a heaven-raised demon. And Helianjua didn't expect that announcing the news that Yi Liangqin was a spirit cultivator would actually give him a pleasant surprise. Yi Liangqin, if I didn't guess wrong, this should be your alias, right? Otherwise, how could I have never heard of you among the spirit cultivators? Helianjua's gaze is sharp and contains ridicule. You hid your identity, changed your name, sneaked into my demon race, and even tried to marry the princess. What are you planning? Mayan sneered. Helianjua, did you come to this magic crystal stage today to fight with me, or to pry into other people's gossip like a gossipy woman? What does my identity, name, and origin have to do with you? Even if you want to investigate me, wait until I go to the Demon Imperial City. The Demon Lord will naturally investigate. Is it your turn to blindly compete? If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't, then get lost. The Immortal Massacre Plaza is quiet for a moment. Then, someone bursts out in laughter. Following that, laughter and whispers rise and fall. Ha ha ha, I like Great Demon King Ye's temperament of fighting at the slightest disagreement. Damn it, Lousy hates human spirit cultivators beating around the bush and scheming. Just now, that Helianjua was beating around the bush, Lousy didn't understand what he meant. It's still Demon King Ye's and mine. It's just a martial arts competition, what's the point of blindly competing? If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't want to fight, then get lost. Ha ha ha. The sounds of mocking laughter and discussion entered Helianjua's ears, causing his face to turn ashen. Chapter 4180. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find this site today. The 7 absolute swords were already waiting in the air, forming a sword net that whistled down. Helianjua's pupils suddenly contracted. Puff! Fresh blood splattered everywhere, and broken limbs flew everywhere. Helianjua rolled on the ground a few times, leaving behind bloodstains and broken limbs. Finally, he stopped beside the magic crystal platform. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Heliandra lost. He lost to Yiliangchen so easily. They hadn't even recovered from the shock of knowing that Yiliangchen was the child of a heaven-raised demon. How did Heliandra lose? Mu Yan slowly breathed out, and threw away the broken hand in her hand. In fact, that attack just now wasn't easy for her. Heliandra's claw just now directly pierced through her abdomen, causing her internal organs to be seriously injured. If not for the fact that she was in the abyss right now, there was enough demonic energy to continuously stimulate the magic core to heal her injuries. She probably wouldn't be able to stand now. Moreover, Heliandra's claw was highly toxic, and it had already invaded her body. She had never refined a poison of this level, and she couldn't cure it even if she wanted to. Under the corrosion of the poison, the meridians and flesh in her body were on fire, and the pain was unbearable. Her mind gradually became chaotic, and she almost couldn't stand steadily. Others couldn't see Mu Yan's condition, but Yun Ruhan could. He walked a few steps to the magic crystal platform, and anxiously waited for the host to announce the results of the competition. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Yun Ruhan only felt a strong suction coming from the void. The magic core in his body began to rotate violently, and became boiling hot in an instant. And the demonic energy in his body seemed to be forcibly sucked away by something. Ugh! Yun Ruhan let out a muffled groan, and slowly knelt down while holding the position of the magic core. And the others in the immortal slaughtering square were in the same situation as him. My demonic energy, who is devouring my demonic energy? Ah, it hurts, my magic core is so hot, I can't take it anymore. Screams rose and fell in the square. One after another, the demons knelt down, and their bodies curled up into a ball. The devil chi in their bodies seemed to be absorbed by something, and then it surged towards the magic crystal platform. Tian He, who was watching this scene from a private room high above, raised his eyes and revealed a surprised expression. It turned out to be the Thousand Nights Ghost Hand. I didn't expect that the wolf cub of the Hellion family would know such an obscure and vicious demon race cultivation technique. TSK, he's powerful, but he's a little too cunning. His mind is as dark as that bunch of spirit cultivators. To think that I thought so highly of him back then. Heavenly River. The dignified voice of Elder Min Wei came from the magic mirage stone. What now? I was just complaining. Don't tell me you're going to meddle in this as well. Shut up. Min Wei spoke in a deep voice, you go down for me. Use the magic mirage stone to take a closer look at that kid called Yiliang Chen's face. Tianhe muttered, isn't he just a gigolo? What was there to see? Don't tell me you're also infatuated with this kind of thing like Shui Jie. TSK, don't, you're already so old. The veins on Min Wei's forehead throbbed as he looked at Tianhe with a sinister gaze. Just as Tianhe's hair stood on end, and he was about to say some soft words. He saw Min Wei sneer, and then move his body to the side, revealing the figure of the person behind him. The one who wants to see a gigolo is not me, but Lord Demon Lord. Tianhe. Chapter 4183. Her sleeves fluttered, her fine black hair fluttered. Her slender hands plucked the strings of the zither, producing melodious music. It was that music that sent demonic energy into their bodies, restoring them to their original state. The simulated dazzling sunlight of the immortal slaughtering city fell on the youth's face, illuminating his incomparably handsome appearance. And that appearance was almost exactly the same as Yi Liangqin. No. That's not right either. The youth in midair had even more exquisite facial features, and his skin was even more jade-like. He was clearly dressed as a man, but people almost mistook him for a devastatingly beautiful woman. What was going on? How could there be two Yi Liangqin? Only Yun Ruhan let out a long sigh, feeling relieved. Because he recognized that it was the Shin musician's skill, Heavy Phantom. And the difference in strength between the junior sister with the Tian Mo Qin and the junior sister without the zither was like heaven and earth. Helian Zhua had no chance of winning. On the magic crystal platform, for the first time, fear and horror appeared on Helian Zhua's face. He waved the black flag in his hand with all his might, wanting to snatch the demonic energy from Mu Yan. But as the melodious music resounded, his hand that was waving the flag became heavier and heavier. His whole body seemed to be bound by something, unable to move. But the magic core in his body was spinning faster and faster, even becoming hotter and hotter. It wasn't just his demonic energy that was being taken away, even his magic core was being consumed little by little. If this continued, he wouldn't just lose, but his cultivation would directly drop by a large realm. Helian Zhua was shocked and afraid. His heart was filled with resentment and unwillingness, but he had no choice but to compromise. Losing the competition was better than losing his cultivation, or even his life. He gritted his teeth and raised his voice, I admit defeat. As his voice fell, the magic crystal platform emitted a burst of light. The man who was floating in the air stopped playing and slowly descended to the ground. He merged with Yap Liangqin who was on the ground. Mu Yan disliked Helian Zhua very much. But since it was a competition, she had to follow the rules of the competition. Since the other party admitted defeat, she had no interest in killing him. The immortal slaughtering square fell into a strange silence. After a moment, there was a burst of earth-shattering cheers and discussions. Helian Zhua admitted defeat. He actually admitted defeat so quickly and so cowardly. So what if I don't admit defeat? Just now, you all saw it too. He didn't even have the strength to retaliate when facing Great Demon King Yi. Helian Zhua was the one who extracted the demonic qi from our bodies just now. Now we deserve to lose. What is that zither in Demon King Ye's hands? Why do I feel that the more I listen, the purer and more comfortable the devil qi in my body is? Me too. What are you guys talking about? The leader of our immortal slaying city is here. Everyone, shout it out. Who is it? Demon King Yi. Long live Demon King Yi. Helian Zhua stared at the youth in front of him, his fingernails digging into his flesh, fresh blood dripping down from the gaps between his fingers. How could he lose? He shouldn't have lost. Yap Liangqin, who the hell are you? Mu Yan doesn't even pay attention to him. She goes straight to the host of the competition and takes the transmission token. However, at this moment, a cry of surprise came from behind her. Ah! Watch out! Helian Zhua, what are you doing? Mu Yan's heart skipped a beat. She suddenly turned around and saw that Helian Zhua's figure had already soared into the sky. Holding a long sword, he transformed into a black stream of light and pounced towards Yun Ruhan. Chapter 4188. In the battle with Helianjua just now, in order to save the demons on the Immortal Massacre Plaza, she had almost used up all of her divine power. Now that she was facing Helian Guanyu, she was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Therefore, the only way was to use his remaining divine power to fuse with all the demonic energy in his body and unleash a big move, Limitless Demonic Tao. However, the activation of the Limitless Demonic Way required time. Helian Guanyu would not give her such a chance. Yun Ruhan had obviously noticed this as well. Therefore, the moment Helian Guanyu swung her giant axe, he rushed forward without hesitation. Without spiritual energy, the Ice Soul Sword could not be used. The only thing he could use was his flesh and blood body. But Yun Ruhan was just a small demon guard. Mayan's eyes suddenly widen, her fingers almost playing the wrong rhythm. Bang! The giant axe fell, and blood splattered everywhere. Eldest brother. Yun Ruhan was almost cleaved in two by the giant axe. Although the demon core did not shatter, it no longer had the strength to resist. Helian Guanyu laughed out loud, and the giant axe returned to his hand. He soared into the sky and dove down towards Mu Yen. Yi Liang Qin, you're next. I've said it before, if you dare hurt my son, I'll make you pay 10 times, 100 times over. Everyone on the Immortal Slaying Square widened their eyes and mouths. Their faces were filled with terror and despair. Was Yap going to die? Just like that, he died miserably and sullenly at the hands of Helian Guanyu. However, right at this moment, an explosive shout came from the sky. Helian Guanyu, you're courting death. What was that sound? Everyone subconsciously raised their heads and looked over. A figure descended from the sky like lightning and pounced towards Helian Guanyu. As he descended, his entire body ignited with flames, illuminating the square that had been darkened by the gale. At the same time, the demons finally saw the face of the newcomer. Milky Way. It was the Sky River Demon General. Why is the Sky River Demon General here? Everyone's faces were first filled with shock, followed by ecstasy. So this competition was actually hosted by the Sky River Demon General. In this way, could Demon King Yi be saved? Sky River Demon General, faster, faster. We must save Demon King Yi. However, in the next moment, the hope on everyone's faces turned into astonishment. This was because Tianhe, who was diving down rapidly in mid-air, had actually stopped moving. He was suspended in mid-air, his mouth slightly agape as he looked down in shock. What happened? Why hadn't the Sky River Demon General gone to save Demon King Yi? Why would he have such an expression? All the demons on the Immortal Slaying Square turned their heads and looked over, returning their gazes to their original position. In the next moment, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Someone sucked in a breath of cold air. His knees went weak, and he fell to the ground on his butt. Some people rubbed their eyes again and again, but they still couldn't believe what they saw. Next to the broken magic crystal platform, Helian Guanyu, who had been overflowing with arrogance just a moment ago, was floating in midair. His neck seemed to be choked by something, and a painful expression appeared on his face. "Aw dash!" A shrill scream came out of his mouth. Then, he saw that Helian Guanyu's hand, which was holding the axe, was forcibly torn off by an invisible force. The wind was still howling and clouds, mist, and dust swirled around the square. But everyone still slowly saw the scene below clearly. After Helian Guanyu's right hand was torn off, it slowly descended and fell into a slender hand.